Everything is just beginning, my friends. The second decade of the method, the second decade of neurography, indicates that we have managed the initial period. Even what is happening now, I consider a transitional period in a large systemic work so that we can fulfill our mission to make the planet a drawing one. The method is dynamically evolving. Courses are updated annually, which is very important. In this sense, people who studied a year ago, 2 years ago, or 3 years ago have the right to updates. It is very important for instructors and professionals to maintain a connection with the knowledge transfer system, with the head center and with branches, because people have the right to updates. In 2024, additional introductions appeared. In addition to the Pure School, the Ethical Code, Everything, an additional coaching algorithm for head users has appeared. The additional coaching algorithm adds extra nuance to everything that people receive in the user course. Do people have the right to know this? I answer myself, of course they do. There is a training exercise of 40 circles and a framework for this algorithm. There is a mandatory understanding, at least for all instructors, of presenting the topic, that a concise formulation of the topic in one word. The topic is separately introduced for the user course, the topic of personality models, because when a person comes to study at the Institute of Personality Psychology, of course, they need to understand at least how they are structured, and the fact that a person is a user does not mean that they do not have the right to access serious information about personality models from the Institute of Creative Psychology, authorial models. Before this, such models did not exist. Why is this important? Because we live in a time when a person is no longer like a person from a century ago. Personality has changed its structure. If we do not understand how we are arranged, we constantly live in the old way. We accumulate our own issues. And our task is to live and deal with problems, not to accumulate them. There are new conditions for the actualization of the topic, the creation of typographic compositions. It is worth getting acquainted with this because a typographic composition is an artistic object in itself, an artistic practice. With the introduction of coloristic associations, this is a practice that should be taught to all users. This is a practice that all specialists need to master. This is a practice that instructors should adopt to convey knowledge in their audience. If instructors neglect updates for some reason, then users cannot receive everything that rightfully belongs to them when referring to the term neurography, or any other school, any other program. There is another way to work through the topic, which is placing association circles on the pyramid of consciousness. This is also a unique model for users. And it may not be immediately clear from just a couple of words, but it cannot be understood, just as nothing is ever understood through words. One must go through this professional development and teach this to other people. Well, of course, there is a practice in the webinar. The educational practice is a synthesis of the sanctions removal algorithm and the intention identification algorithm. I won't even mention that the sanctions removal algorithm itself must, of course, be accessible and understandable to all users of neurography. If a person comes to learn as a user, whether they came 3 years ago or 3 years later, they have the right to access the maximum amount of information corresponding to their status. Update on the neurography specialist course. We have a lot of specialists. There are about 20 or 30,000 specialists in the world, which means people have come to us to professionally master the method. But if a person has come to professionally master the method, I see it as my task to provide them with more and more professional tools. Therefore, we have a new concept of the neurotree algorithm. It is called the tree of gifts. There is a version of the neurotree with a frame. We have introduced a new algorithm, the Archie-10 pyramid, into the training program for specialists. It provides the opportunity on one hand for powerful development over the next decade, meaning it teaches strategic thinking, and on the other hand, it discusses how to increase the quantitative scale of one's results, what levels various results are at, and what to do with this. And, in my opinion, the quantitative indicators of our results concern our people no less than the qualitative ones, especially since in coaching we are all engaged in aesthetic coaching. The translation of qualities into quantity to some measurable form is simply a mandatory procedure. There is a new algorithm that was introduced in August 2024. It is called the balance of space. The Ikigai algorithm has been introduced. There is a theory of strat that continues to develop, and of course the author's scheme of the human figure, where we generally talk about the structure of personality, ego, and self. Why? So that specialists understand how their clients are structured, In order to understand the qualities of states, the phenomenology of effects regarding what is happening with people, our task is to grow professionally. Our task is to go deeper. Our task is to be the best we can in terms of our profession, in terms of working with other people, rather than just promoting or living off the fact that neurography has become a popular tool in the world. The Neurography Instructor Course also has innovations. I believe that instructors are the most interested people in everything I say, as they make up the most professional core of our community. We also do not forget about the instructors when passing on knowledge. For example, we have developed a very interesting, powerful color chart that allows for archetyping on one hand and stylization on the other. In this sense, work with color spots emerges without being tied to the graphic structure of the object. The distribution of colors in terms of stylization. These are impeccably important things that I would like to introduce to all instructors who have studied with me or are studying in their national languages. If instructors, you are interested, of course, I await your request, your unanimous yes. Of course, we want to know, we want to receive, we want to be fresh all the time in our knowledge, rather than remaining a graduate of some year. The light stylization chart, interaction, color matching according to the system of elements that we all learned, and the pyramid of consciousness. It is actually very interesting and answers practical question how to draw. Because the main problem of all our people is that no one, and the majority, has undergone special training such as artistic training, and what we provide is a unique form of the education system. In the Neuro Mandala, we have created for the first time a family mandala in the Architen mode, which also allows us to calculate, including the energy transmission system that moves through the lineage, including work not only with ancestors but also with descendants. In this sense, more and more interpretations are emerging, which I think will be no less interesting to you than everything else. Neurosynthesis, that is, working with the model of a person, analyzing the structure of personality, how to regulate the sizes of the relationships of these figures using drawing. And in this sense, we give birth to a wide palette of knowledge. Freud's personality model, Jung's personality model, Asagioli's personality model, Berne's personality model. There are not many personality models, but if we work with people, we must recognize them as individuals. And if we recognize a person as an individual, we must understand what this personality consists of. We are not just doing our job. We are communicating with living people who require respect, who require attention. My friends, thank you for asking questions, for writing, for reacting, because you provide fertile ground for the mind. You allow me to unfold in unexpected ways as well, because your context, your perspectives on life are very curious simply as a human. So subscribe to our channels, write. I will gladly continue this practice of responding, talking, being in dialogue. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being passionate people. It is precisely such people who find a path to walk into the future. Meanwhile, we are building an entire avenue. Step out onto our avenue in festive attire. This is our Nera Avenue.